want to talk about how the Niners are going to use Deebo this year because that's always a mystery. And it's like there was a very specific way they used him last year, but I think a lot of that had to do with who the quarterback was. All those slants and in-breaking routes. Yeah, Deebo does those well, but that's all Jimmy can do. It's not necessarily what Lance does the best. So how do you think? And it's as you've seen, they're sort of figuring out and struggling to figure out how exactly the Lance Deebo connection is going to work. They'll get it. But right now, they're sort of in the experimental phase.
Yep.
And it's a lot of stuff down the field that's not hitting so far. So what do you think they'll ultimately land on?
I still think that Deebo was operating more exclusively as a receiver before Elijah Mitchell was going down last year. He was already putting together quite a season, but a lot of that still again was it's balls that you're catching near the line of scrimmage, it's tons of yak. I still think that you're going to see that. I still believe, today we saw a rep where might have been slightly high, but it looked like, talking about Deebo might have mistimed his jump was near the sidelines, or it doesn't usually where he operates. Honestly, if you really look back at Deebo Samuel football, how many times do you see him running down the sideline? It's not really.
And we always attribute that to Jimmy, right? Well, Jimmy can't throw that.
Right. And I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it can't happen. I still am a firm believer that and it's not because of the incentives of the contract. I really believe that this offensive weapon, wide back, is not dead for Kyle Shanahan. I don't.
This guy's going to be in the backfield a lot.
And I don't think it's going to drop as much as people think at all. I think that Kyle. I don't think Deebo cares. He got his contract. He knows his style of play is physical no matter what. You're going to get the bag that you can get in the 3 years. The bottom line is, and I think that's smart. And I think that if you take, if you say Deebo's your Ferrari and that's your kind of, that's your secret weapon. I think it's ridiculous to sit here and limit yourself by saying, you know what? Sorry, Deebo, we don't want you to take as many hits. We're not gonna bring you out of the backfield. So no, I think that's going to be more Ayuk's game. I think that's going to be obviously Danny Gray. Based on the limited snaps that I think he's probably going to get, but it'll be interesting because you're right. It didn't look. The connection really isn't there.
Not yet.
Field with Deebo.
Because here's the thing: Deebo's good on the dig route. Well, the slant, he's good on the slant, but Trey doesn't have the quickest release. He's good on the dig, but Trey's a little scatter shot, and Deebo has short arms. So, you'd rather Trey throw that to Kittle or Ayuk because those guys actually can make catches away from their body, as opposed to Deebo, who sometimes can, but also, like today, will tip the ball to the DB. Well, so it seems like you can hand it to him, you could throw screens to him, but after that, how do you get him the ball down the field? And I think they're trying to go deep. And we're saying not the sideline, but on the play action, like deep crossing routes, he can run away from DBs across the field. And I think we've seen him do at times. Today he was thrown a little bit behind him. He was open.
And that's where Ayuk is a guy who I trust more in maybe contested catch situations. Yeah. I'm not saying that Deebo can't make those in this tight, but I think he does, as tough as he is. And he will. We don't have to say it. He's going to lay the boom, but he operates better in space. And I think that it was interesting to see. I don't think you're going to see him lined up outside in man one-on-one on the outside. And I don't know. It'd be nice to have that versatility. I'm not saying he can't, but yeah, I still think you're going to see most of Deebo's touches are coming underneath, are coming close, are going to be out of the backfield on some misdirection plays, and then getting him out in space. And that's what we haven't even seen in camp yet so much is Kyle running that plan where he's got an install where he's creating this ridiculous separation for his guys as much as and that'll come.
And I think we're going to see a lot of is this pistol formation where, Deebo starts out wide and motions into the backfield. It starts out in the backfield, motions out wide. And you have playing that game with Deebo and Ray McLeod. I think Ray's going to get a lot of snaps this year because he's going to be part of this whole run game package. And I'm curious to see how much they use Juszczyk. They always pay Juszczyk, bring him back, love Juszczyk. No. They never use him, ever.
And his role in pass protection, and I agree that he is. Yeah, look, we watch the NFL Top 100 list, and a lot of this is just fluff. These players are, bless their hearts, everybody's scratching each other's backs, right? But you watch some of that stuff, you realize what you said. Juice really is an underutilized and underappreciated weapon in that offense. Yeah. And I think though we did see many times where he was on a leak play. How many times did that happen? Drink, right? but Jimmy missed the leak deep, and Juice is out there wide open, like being overthrown. I'd like we all camp. Have we seen Juice? I mean, targeted on anything
He
like that?
He had a target. I mean, like one a day. It's like one a day.
But not where it's a situation where he's more than just a dump off.
No, and it's like he's an offensive weapon. They pay money. You'd think they would do stuff like that.
So I think, though, like we said, I think you're onto something there in a lot of ways. I think that Kyle is a guy who likes to play things close to his vest. He thinks everybody's watching him, even though everybody knows what he can do. But I think you're going to see once he get all these guys doing the things that we know that they can do. Yeah, it'd be nice to see him out there. But that's the question I have for you is, if you get Juice out there in those lineups, in those formations, like how many snaps are all these other guys going to do? I mean, how many times are you going to see 3 wide receiver sets? And that to me is what's going to be interesting about the deep ball, is with Danny Gray showing success in that regard. Like I just don't, it's going to be interesting. And that's where I sometimes feel like Juice's touches get limited because they're using him so much as a blocker.
Yeah. And I just think the way the offense is evolving. I mean, he was really important in like the I formation under center run game stuff, and then last year as like that jet sweep blocker. But now in this pistol formation, there's so much more you can do with a backfield of, Elijah Mitchell and Deebo than Elijah Mitchell and Juszczyk, or Elijah Mitchell and Ray than Elijah Mitchell and Juszczyk. I mean, yeah, you don't get the blocker, but you're creating misdirection with all these options. You don't really need that blocker. I'm just curious to see. And again, Ray's a bigger receiving threat. So I'm curious to see what happens with Juice. But this was a Deebo topic. What were you gonna say?
No, I was saying you just mentioned Ray. I actually thought that people have been knocking for being his fumbles. I've actually been impressed with him in what I've seen in drills.
He did a great catch today. Did you see that catch today?
Yeah. And he is a weapon. I mean, you hold on to the ball, but like that guy that has legit juice, he's really good out of his releases. You saw him make the cornerback like just look like a JV all-star against the Packers. That's another wrinkle. And so there's going to be a lot of mouths to feed, and that's going to be exciting to see who gets fed. But
I think fans will see that. We already saw it in the regular first preseason game. Ray is in great shape.
Mm-hmm.
Ayuk's in great shape, and those two are in regular season form. DC says just left Minneapolis, didn't see PSJ thrown any on any of the 4 practice fields or in the mini stadium. Wonder if he's throwing in the side field in Santa Clara right now. No, I think he only does that when media's out there. He only does that when there's an audience. No, I don't know.